Hey there, year 11s. We've got a question for exercise 5E, question 6d. This is to do with piecewise functions. So let's see, 6d. Whoa, that's interesting. All right, let's have a go with this one. D, sketch the following, state the range. All right, 6d. Let's put it there. So this is 6d. If I were to do this by hand, I draw the axes first and I try to sort of picture. Ooh, that's not the color I want. Let's just do that again. Let's draw the axes, and what it's from less than -3 and greater than -1. Oh, interesting. All right, so it looks like we've got a domain that seems to be separated here. So we've got x less than -3, then you'll sketch this graph, which is a rectangle hyperbole. So less than -3, I'd probably say -3 is here. Doesn't matter, I'm just choosing any area just to sort of work. And then the other one is greater than -1. So it looks like -1 onwards. So anywhere from -1 onwards is going to be the parabola. And then anything less than -3, which is this region, I will have the hyperbole. Okay, so now I need to visualize what the hyperbole could look like. So based on this transformation, so if I just sketched f of x is equal to 1 on x plus 3, where x is less than -3, well, the thing I know about this is they tell me there's going to be moving left transformation, left by 3, and that's about it. So there's an asymptote. Right here, there's still an asymptote. You're meant to use a ruler. I'm just quickly doing it. So this is y is equal to 0 asymptote, but the vertical asymptote is at exactly -3. So I probably should model how you should be doing it. So I'm just going to rub that out. You're meant to use a ruler and 90. So I'm going to use a ruler and I'm going to do my vertical asymptote. Okay, so nice and vertical. So there's my vertical asymptote, and I need to label it, which is x equals to -3. And I know the graph is a positive graph, so that means the shape of the graph, you can expect it to look something like this. Okay, so that's probably what I would normally sketch. So it looks like I'm only going to be sketching that side because I need it to be less than -3, so I won't be sketching this side of the graph, so that doesn't exist. So that's what my graph looks like for the first component. And then the second component, it's a parabola where the graph shifts to the left by 2. So technically, so if I'm going to draw this one, so this is now f of x equals to x plus 2 squared, where x is greater than -1. This one implies that my graph should be like this. It moves to, whoa, that's terrible. It should be something like that, where it moves to the left by -2. But remember that the domain that I'm working with is when x is greater than -1. That's what it says here. So -1, say it's here, that means I'm starting from this point and then I'm sketching only that section there. So I need to find what that starting point is, which is where x equals to -1. I just don't know what the y value is. That's going to be the end point of it. So to find out that point, I need to find f of -1. What would it equal to at that point? So at f of -1, I'm essentially saying -1 plus 2 squared. And the function tells me -1 plus 2 is 1, 1 squared is 1. All right, so they tell me that essentially at -1, I should be starting here. Now notice I did an open circle. Why did I do an open circle? Because in the restrictions they've given me, they said that you don't include, notice here, it's greater than but not equal to -1. Whilst the rectangle hyperbole, there's an asymptote there, so I didn't have to worry about that. But with this point, it's a starting point there, and I know I'm only sketching that part that's in red because I only want from -1 onwards. So technically, that's all you should be sketching right there, what's in red. Okay, so I now know this coordinate should be, whoops, -1, +1, because that's what I calculated. When x is -1, the y value will be +1. Let me just do that again. That's the point. That's the end point. Okay, or starting point, whichever you want to call it. So I know the starting point is at -1, 1, and I know part of the graph will be essentially this parabolic shape that kind of goes up. Kind of looks a bit fun. Oh, wow. Looks a bit funny, but essentially, if you can try to picture it, it should have been like this. So -2, and then it's meant to go like that, right? But I'm only going to be sketching this red component here. That's all I'm sketching there. So that blue section I should be rubbing out, and that would be my graph. I'm going to put an arrow here to indicate that it's going to continue on. So you can see that when x is greater than -1, I get the parabolic shape, and then x less than -3, it's a rectangular hyperbole. But anything in between -3 and -1, I shouldn't have anything. And that's what I've modeled here. Okay, so the key part is that open circle. Make sure it's an open circle, and that's at -1, 1. Okay, there you go. That's how you would do exercise 5E, question 6D. It's a piecewise function. You sketch only the parts that they tell you to sketch.